So MDC, LDC comparison assignment. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to do part of this assignment together as a class since I have you in the classroom. Okay, so take this first PDF, this MDC, LDC comparison PDF, and download it and put it into Notability. I'm going to open it into Cami because I'm on my computer. Okay, this is what the assignment looks like. Okay. What you're going to do is you are going to be researching 3 different countries and trying to determine, are these countries in MDC, LDC, or NIC? Okay. Here is the country list that you are going to choose from. Okay, so what I want you to do is look through this list, and I want you to pick out 2 countries that you think one is an NIC and one is an LDC, because we are going to pick a country that we think is an MDC and do that one together. Okay, so I'm going to pick the United Kingdom for a country that I think is an MDC. And on my sheet here, okay, next to country name for the first one, okay, I would write United Kingdom. And that's the first country that I'm going to look at. Then I'm going to look through the list, and I'm going to pick out a country that I think is an NIC. Okay, so here's where you get to choose and you get to pick. So look through this list, pick out a country that you think is an NIC, and you are going to write it on your comparison sheet. Okay. I'm going to go with India. That's going to be my guess. All right, as an NIC country. And then you do the same thing for a country that you think is an LDC, right, or a less developed country. So I am going to pick Uganda or my LDC country. Okay. So once you have your NIC country and your LDC country on your sheet, can I get a thumbs up? Okay, I got like 2. Okay. Again, if you have a country that you want to take a look at that's not on that list, that's totally fine. Again, we are doing the first one together, so everybody's top country here should be United Kingdom. And then you get to choose a country that you think is an NIC and a country that you think is an LDC. Okay. How are we feeling? Good to keep going? Yeah, I can't really see you anymore, so if you just say yes out loud, that'd be great.
Pretty crazy when there's 15 people in the room and the lights go out. But yeah.
Your room is haunted.
I think it's more motion, lack of motion.
Okay, so you are probably wondering, where are we finding all of this information? Great question. You are going to use this website called the World Factbook. Okay. And it is put together by the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA. So when you click on the link here, it takes you to this homepage. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to search our countries that we chose. So from this drop-down menu here, okay, I am going to search for the United Kingdom because that was the first country on our list here. Okay. It'll take you to a page where it has a ton of information all about the United Kingdom. And what we are going to do is we are going to sift through these topics to find the information that we need. So the first thing that we see, the first topic that we have is people and society. So I would take the people and society tab and I would expand that. Okay. And within this people and society tab, the first thing that I am looking for is the birth rate and the death rate in the United Kingdom. Okay, so I just scroll for a little bit. Remember, I'm looking for birth rate. Okay, perfect. What's our birth rate for the United Kingdom? What does that say? Right there. What is our birth rate for the United Kingdom?
11.9.
11.9. So next to birth rate, I would put 11.9. Okay. What is our death rate?
9.5.
9.5. Okay. Then the next statistic is total fertility rate. What's our total fertility rate?
1.86.
Perfect. Okay. 1.86. Now here is where we make an educated guess based on the information that we know. Okay. So looking at our birth rate, looking at our death rate and the total fertility rate, what stage of the demographic transition model do we think the United Kingdom is in? Okay. So what's happening to the population in the United Kingdom? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Or is it relatively remaining close to the same?
Relatively close to the same.
Relatively close to the same. Why? How do we come up with that conclusion?
Because the birth rate and the death rate are pretty much the same.
Absolutely, right? The natural increase rate or the difference between the birth rate and the death rate is very small. Okay. So overall, the population in the United Kingdom is remaining relatively the same. So based on that, what stage of the demographic transition model would we place the United Kingdom in?
4.
Stage 4. Okay. Population is remaining relatively the same. Okay. Isn't it in stage 1 that the population remains relatively the same as well with the demographic transition model?
Yes.
Yeah, but are there any countries in stage 1 currently?
No.
No, right? So we know that we are left with stage 4. Okay. Then we keep looking, and we are looking at urban population percentage. Okay. So we're scrolling. Okay. Here we go. Urban population percentage. What percent of the population lives in urban centers?
83.9.
83.9. Okay, so roughly 84% of the population in the United Kingdom live in a city. Our next one is life expectancy at birth. Okay. So you get to scroll for a while. Life expectancy at birth. What's our total population life expectancy?
81.1.
Okay, thank you much. What about our life expectancy for males?
78.8,
78.8. What about our life expectancy for females?
83.5.
83.5. Okay. Then we move on to the next topic or category, which is economy. So we can close the population. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Go back. Okay, we can close the population one. And what did I say we were looking for? Economy? Yes. Okay, then you open the economy. And the first thing that we are looking for is the GDP per capita PPP. Okay, so it's not the first one. All right, I'm looking for GDP per capita PPP. And our GDP per capita purchasing power parity is 44,300. What does GDP stand for? And this is a review from your notes. What does GDP stand for? What do those letters stand for? Okay, go back and look in your notes if you need to, but what does GDP stand for?
Gross domestic product.
Gross domestic product. Absolutely. What is a gross domestic product? It sounds like something that I really wouldn't want to touch if it's gross, but that's not what we're talking about, right? Gross domestic product is how much money a country earns in revenue, how much money they are generating. Okay? And when we look at gross domestic product per capita, okay, per capita is just a fancy academic way of saying per person. So when we're talking about the GDP per capita, we are looking at, on average, how much money or how much income or how much revenue does each person make in that country. So again, it's an average, right? So it's where you add up all the money and you divide it by how many people there are. So when we look at the GDP per capita in the United Kingdom of 44,000, they're saying that on average, people make about $44,000 a year. Right? That's about how much money they can turn around and spend in the economy. Countries with a lower GDP per capita mean that their countries don't make as much money. Right? Their citizens or their people don't have enough income to spend. In the notes, we looked at the GDP per capita in the United States, and it was around, I think, like 38,000. Okay, so like the average salary of the average person has about 38,000 to spend in a year, how much money they make, versus compared to less developed countries. So we were looking at places in Africa or Asia where their GDP per capita was $3,000. Which means that they have the ability to spend $3,000 for an entire year. Right? That's less than I make in a month. Right? If I had to stretch $3,000 for an entire year, I don't think I could do it, not living here in the United States. That's because our cost of living is higher. Does that make sense? Yes, can I get some sort of like affirmation? Yes, okay. So again, when we look at GDP, we're looking at the amount of money or the amount of revenue that a country can generate. When we look at GDP per capita, that's per person. So on average, how much money or how much revenue or how much income does a person have to spend that year? Okay. Back to the assignment. So our next category or topic is labor force by occupation. Okay. So labor force by occupation. What percentage of the labor force is found in agriculture for the United Kingdom? Okay. What percentage of the labor force is in agriculture for the United Kingdom? What do we have? What's this number right here? Anybody? What does it say?
0.7?
Huh?
0.7?
For agriculture?
Yeah.
How about 1.3? Okay, yes?
Yeah.
Do we all see where I got 1.3? Okay. What about for industry?
15.2,
Okay, and then what about service?
83.5.
Thank you. Okay, in your notes yesterday, did it break down primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. So primary sectors, as a recap, are jobs in which you obtain resources from the earth. Okay, this would be our agriculture. Okay, so this is your primary sector jobs. Okay, agriculture, mining, lumber, those are all primary sector jobs. Secondary sector are going to be your industry, your manufacturing. It's where you are taking resources from the primary sector and you're putting them together, you're building something, you're creating something. And then the tertiary sector are your service industry jobs, your face-to-face interactions. Okay? In your more developed countries, the majority of your jobs are going to be found in the tertiary sector. Okay? The majority of your jobs are tertiary. They are service industry based and they're face-to-face interactions. Education is a tertiary sector job. It's a service industry job. Okay? You look at your less developed countries and you're going to have a higher percentage in the primary sector. Okay? Almost everybody is a farmer. Okay, then the next category that we take a look at is our energy. Okay, so we scroll and then we open up the energy tab. Okay, we are looking for electricity consumption for total. Okay, right here. So 309.2 billion. Okay. And then we're going to take a look at carbon dioxide emissions. Okay. 424 million. Okay. So the higher your development in your country, the more electricity consumption and the higher your carbon dioxide emission is going to be. So then, based on looking at this data, okay, do we believe that the United Kingdom is an MDC, an NIC, or an LDC? What do you guys think? Based on this information, how would we classify the United Kingdom?
MDC.
An MDC, right? Or a more developed country. Absolutely. Okay. Then, before I let you go on the next two countries, so whatever two countries you chose, I want everybody to scroll to the end of the page. and take a look at these 10 questions. Okay. These are 10 questions that you will see on your development exam next week. So I want to make sure we have all of this information down. Okay. So we are looking at countries that are MDCs or LDCs. The majority of people live in cities. Is that a more developed country or a less developed country?
MDC.
An MDC, right? A more developed country. Okay. A country that has a high total fertility rate. So lots of babies are being born. Is that an MDC or an LDC? LDC. Absolutely. A country that may be called a third world country. MDC or LDC?
LDC.
LDC. Right? It's kind of a joke here when we complain about something like, oh, right? I forgot to charge my phone, like first world problems. Okay? More developed countries are first world, less developed countries are third world. NIC countries in the middle are second world. Okay. You have a large number of women in the workforce. MDC or LDC?
MDC.
MDC, right? Because with the higher the level of development, the more opportunities there are for women. A large number of people work as farmers or work in the agriculture industry. MDC or LDC?
LDC.
LDC, absolutely. Right, that's where we're looking at the different sectors of our jobs. A country that is in stage 2 of the demographic transition model.
LDC.
MDC or LDC?
LDC.
LDC. A country that is going to have high death rates. MDC or LDC?
LDC.
LDC, absolutely. Right? Higher death rates mean lack of access to technology and medical supplies and healthcare. You have a large number of people under the age of 15. MDC or LDC? What do you guys think? A large number of people are under the age of 15. So these are population pyramids.
LDC.
What was that?
LDC.
LDC, absolutely. Right? If you have a large number of people under the age of 15, it means that you have high birth rates. You have lots of babies being born. Okay? The higher your birth rate, the lower your level of development. Right? Countries with high divorce rates, MDC or LDC?
MDC.
MDC. Right? That's because, again, opportunity for women and equal access, okay, come with the higher level of development. So if you have the opportunity or the ability to divorce your spouse, that's going to come with a higher level of development. And the last one that we have is high life expectancy. MDC or LDC?
MDC.
MDC, absolutely. Okay. So what you are going to do now is you're going to finish this worksheet. So you are going to research a country that you think is an NIC, and then you're going to research a country that you think is an LDC using the CIA World Factbook website. When you go to search your country, don't search up here in the top. Choose from the drop-down menu here where it says please select a country to do. Okay. And then you can go through and choose whatever country you have selected for the next two. Okay. When you are finished filling out this assignment, Okay, turn it in for your MDC LDC comparison. Then, when you are completed with that, your last assignment for today is your Latin America map. Okay. Just like your other maps that you have created, you will be taking a look at Latin America and identifying countries and capitals. Okay, so here's your blank map, and then your instructions are on the second page. So you're going to label all of these countries, and then every country that has an asterisk next to it, you need to label the capital of that country too. So you need the capital of Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, and Venezuela. Then you have physical features and 2 other cities to label and identify as well. The last thing that you have is the review for your development exam, because on Monday when you are at home, you will have your development test. It's really like an extended quiz, so it's not really a test, but it is. Okay.